We're upsetting people today. Roll the intro.
Don't believe the lies, deceit. I can be more.
Jordan Peterson, the best of Jordan Peterson, however you want to phrase it. I always feel the need to say that we're upsetting people today because no matter if we're reacting to Jordan Peterson or Ben Shapiro in whatever light, someone's going to be upset. Nonetheless, that is the exact reason we need to make this more of a thing and talk about the pressing issues. We here on this channel appreciate the art of debate, the art of intelligence, the art of free thinking. So let's see the best of that by Jordan Peterson. And if you are brand new to the channel, take a second to hit that subscribe button. It would mean the world to me, but f what I want, do it for you. I don't know why. Probably don't do it.
I want to go talk to Peterson. Peterson, do you have any comments on the Nazi presence at your protest? The presence of Nazis and white supremacists assaulting people at your protest. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I don't like Nazis.
Who does?
And I'm sure, I would hope that if I were a student of Dr. Peterson, that he would refer to me as she and wouldn't have a problem with that. But at the end of the day, a personal pronoun preference still is a preference for what language other people use. And at the end of the day, I don't have ultimate control over what Dr. Peterson, what the language he chooses to use, or anybody else for that matters. That's up to them.
Okay, let me find out then.
Arises,
let me find out. If she were a student of yours, what would you call her?
She.
You would. Okay. We've established that.
Why
Just ask him.
should your right to freedom of speech?
I love this clip. I absolutely love this clip. This is the gotcha moment. This is what we all love.
In order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive.
It's been unpleasant.
Being rather uncomfortable. You get my point. It's like you're doing what you should do, which is digging a bit to see what the hell's going on. But you're exercising your freedom of speech to certainly risk offending me. And that's fine. I think more power to you as far as...
Hands down, one of the greatest argument moments I've seen.
So you haven't sat there and...
Yes.
I'm just trying to work that out. I mean...
Ha, gotcha.
I love that. That is awesome.
You have got me. I'm trying to work
I
that...
was reading comments on that video when we did the reaction. A lot of y'all were saying that Peterson subsequently came out and said that he wished that he had not said gotcha because it kind of, diluted a little bit of what he said.
Ha, gotcha.
I love it. I fucking love that he said that. Maybe that's the difference between Peterson and myself, but I think it was awesome.
On the planet that has ever produced as a good thing, an intentional good thing, rapists and murderers. So,
Well, that's highly debatable. That's highly debatable.
actually,
one
it's
of the things
absolutely true because there's never been a secular humanist government on the planet.
I don't know. I think the Soviets were pretty secular.
No,
humanists.
Then,
No, I know
with all due apologies, you do not know the first thing about what secular humanism is. You should read the secular humanist manifestos.
Dude, the condescension is nuts.
The great American philosopher Beyonce Knowles said that it has been said that racism is so American that if you challenge racism, you look like you're challenging America. We are challenging inequality. We are challenging the refusal to see me as an individual. When we overcome that, have at it, we're all on equal plane.
I think it's fine. I think it's good.
The pot is getting stirred here.
So I've got a couple of questions.
So let's your side spoke, so I'm going to go to Jordan, then to you,
Let's
Michelle.
assume for a moment that I've benefited from my white privilege. Okay, so let's assume that. That's
That's a good
fine.
assumption. That's
Yeah,
a good
well, that's
assumption.
what you would say. Let's say, here, let's get precise about this, okay?
I haven't seen like Jordan Peterson's viewpoint on male white privilege. I haven't seen that.
Let's get precise about this, okay?
Let's get precise.
To what degree is my present level of attainment or achievement a consequence of my white privilege? And I don't mean sort of. I mean, do you mean 5%? Do you mean 15%? Do you mean 25%? Do you mean...
Boy wants him to quantitate it. What number, damn it?
75%? And what do you propose I do about it? How about a tax? How about a tax that's like specialized for me so that I can account for my damn privilege,
You're
so that I
talking
can
great
stop
shit right
hearing
now.
about it? Now, let's get precise about one other thing, okay? We'll get precise about one other thing. Now,
Precise.
Yeah. Precise, yes. And so, if we can agree, and we haven't, that the left can go too far, which it clearly can, then how would my worthy opponents precisely define when the left that they stand for has gone too far? You didn't like equity, equality of outcome. I think that's a great marker. But if you have a better suggestion...
Dude, I would absolutely hate to go against Jordan Peterson in any type of debate.
I can dispense with my white privilege, and so that you can tell me when the left has gone too far, since they clearly can. And that's what this debate is about political correctness. It's about the left going too far. And I think it's gone too far in many ways. And I'd like to figure out exactly how and when, so the reasonable left could make its ascendance again and we could quit all this nonsense.
Went in there.
You know, feminizing men, it almost sounds derogatory. It's almost as if you're saying that to be feminine or to express any sort of femininity is actually inferior to masculinity. And I think that is a huge...
He's going to specify probably in the workplace.
Huge problem even within the language that we use. You know, when you say, don't be such a girl, don't be such a pussy, the greatest insults that men can give each other tend to have...
I saw something one time that was like, they had people have that backwards. Say like, they call you a pussy. It's like, pussy can, they can take a pounding.
Can you see my pussy?
And continue to go on. And balls, like, you got the balls to do that. It's like, that doesn't make any sense because they're sensitive as hell. It's like the opposite. It's like the opposite. Anyway.
I think, again, that speaks to a very systematic inequality between the genders. And
you attributed the rates of mental illness among men to their inability to express, say, sentimental emotions.
Well,
and I don't think there's a shred of clinical evidence to support that stance.
Sorry.
Oh my God.
No.
Well, I don't think there's a shred of evidence to support that stance. The kind of violence, for example, that Lawrence is discussing is a consequence of competitive violence among young men as they move
I think there
towards.
is some evidence that men find it difficult to talk about things, and that
and they also
ways
find
in
it
which
hard
you can
to
help
reach
young
out.
men to talk about things.
And that's the evidence for the differential rates of
I
mental
think talking about things being so innate. You know, I mean, Judith Butler would have said that, you know, gender is a construct, that gender is a performance.
Well, Judith Butler doesn't know what she's talking about in the least, so I don't accept that.
I mean, that's interesting, but
she's no scientist. She doesn't know the psychological literature.
How would you guys describe Jordan Peterson's like tone? Is it stoic? Is it like poignant? Is it matter of fact? Condescending? Assertive? I try to think about it, and no adjective that I can come up with seems adequate.
Neo-Marxism.
Yeah,
but aren't those things two separate things?
They're completely separate. You know, and this is something I've been criticized for. Dr. Peterson doesn't understand the difference between neo-Marxism and postmodernism.
I don't.
Understand the difference perfectly well. It isn't me that's conflating them.
Means.
It turns out that the people who push postmodern doctrines in the university almost always ally themselves with a Marxist viewpoint.
Okay.
That is logically incoherent, but I would say the postmodernists really don't give a damn for logical coherence because they regard that as part of the oppressive, patriarchal, Eurocentric view of the world. The idea that there's an objective reality and all of that, and that you can deal with it with logic.
You accept this oppression narrative without question. You know, 120 years ago...
I don't accept anything without question. I'm just telling you a fact.
That's not a fact.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Women were expected to stay home and take care of the kids and cook a meal.
Women didn't have reliable birth control until 1960. You know, don't you think that played a role? Don't you think the fact that they didn't have reliable...
Are you blaming women for not being allowed to lead countries, to lead nations? Because they didn't
were allowed to lead nations. There were queens in many countries. I think you have no idea how much this oppression narrative has saturated your thinking.
Damn. I mean, yeah, dude, like Queen of England, I guess, you know, like queens all around the world. I don't know. That's an interesting viewpoint that I haven't heard before, but you can already tell that good dude, whoever that was already getting emotional. I don't like it whenever people are arguing and they just try to say, I mean, I guess that's part of the argument, trying to, you know, discredit your opponent. But like, are you saying that women brought this upon themselves? It's like, how are you going to just inflame people like that? Like, what are you doing? But, you know, there's the tactics and argument and the psychological proponents of it as well. And it's interesting because if you just want to get down to the brass tacks and really understand the arguments, there are not many of those type of political debates or arguments that go on nowadays without emotion tied into it. It's sad, but it's true.
Say is so very popular with the alt-right.
It isn't. And you don't have any evidence for that at all. Any more than the evidence that alt-right people watch this show.
Neo-Nite website, Saviour of Western Civilization.
Oh, well, that was all taken apart today by a number of Jewish publications, by the way, showing that, first of all, that was all satirical commentary on the part of the alt-right, directed at taking me down. for example. And there was an alt-right article yesterday published saying that I was a Jewish stooge and shill. So this is absolute nonsense, and I don't appeal primarily to the alt-right. There's no evidence for that at all. It's the proclivity of...
I never said primarily, Jordan. What I'm interested in is why you think that you get the reaction that you do from the alt-right. Looking at the Cathy Newman documentary,
what reaction?
Interview.
There's 10 million people watched that and commented on it.
I'm talking about what I saw, and I'm curious to know what your reaction was to the glee with which the alt-right seized upon that interview.
I don't accept
Should we deal with the death threats? I mean, she had, I think, a dozen
I don't accept
death
the concept that it was the alt-right that was doing this. There were 10 million people who commented on that video, and about 95% of them commented negatively on Cathy Newman's behavior. You think there's 10 million alt-right trolls watching that?
I mean, he, like, as a matter of fact, man, he's like, gets to the point of it. Yeah, I mean, he does have a connotation, right, for being very alt-right. Or if you enjoy Jordan Peterson's content, people will label you as a far-right radical. Doesn't make sense to me. Everything's a spectrum, right, in my mind, in terms of politics. Everybody just wants to be upset. Nowadays, people just like to hate. Ask Ronnie Radke.
It's like nobody likes anything, it seems.
I mean, shit, man.
Of justice characterizing the modern university, I see a tremendous amount of the pursuit of vengeance for things that don't even deserve to have vengeance extracted for them.
So give me an example of what doesn't deserve vengeance.
How about the existence of the patriarchy?
But you don't mean now that women have not suffered injustices. In Britain, Virginia Woolf couldn't go to university, or rather she couldn't get a degree. Women have been excluded in all kinds of ways from social situations, have they not?
Yes, but people have been excluded from social situations in all kinds of ways. And I don't like the narrative, the social historical injustice narrative as a way of looking at the world. The way that young people now are taught about the relationships between men and women throughout history is that the fundamental narrative is that men oppressed women throughout the course of history. And then that kind of came to an end when everybody woke up in 1964.
No.
Yeah, really. That's really it.
No, listen. I don't know.
So it's the reason that I like Jordan Peterson so damn much, dude, is he makes you think, whoa, why the fuck did I just do that? Makes you think. He makes you question your stance, whether you want to support him or defend it. I find myself oftentimes listening to Jordan Peterson and then going to research things on my own just to either corroborate what he says or maybe look at an alternative perspective from what he said just to understand it more. Nonetheless, he makes you want to learn, in my mind, and that's a huge reason why I like to listen to him, because one, he crafts arguments and his way of thinking very eloquently and just with pinpoint precision. But at the end of the day, it's like, it gets me interested in this type of stuff. Makes me formulate my own ideals, which is exactly what you want. Promote free thinking, right?
What it's like in Canadian universities. But that's what I call, and forgive this European reference, that's a kind of Punch and Judy way.
Punch and Judy?
Of seeing it. That is not how universities as a whole operate.
Well, that's how they operate in Canada. We had the biggest scandal in Canadian university history last year.
Shit, I didn't know that.
When a graduate student was hauled in front of a Maoist inquisition for daring to show a 5-minute video of me discussing issues like this on public television. The universities are in far worse shape. Maybe they're not in such bad shape in the UK as they are in North America.
I mean, who needs school nowadays anyway? Damn metaverse is coming.
Forgive me, and I'm sorry you were involved, but that is not the big...
In my mind, subtopic, right? Like umbrella Jordan Peterson subtopics that my mind sporadically thinks of when I listen to this type of content. Schools are becoming obsolete, in my mind. Unless you're going to go for a degree, a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, something like that, you're going to need to go to school. But other than that, no. I feel like never has school been more irrelevant than it is now. You take that out of context, could be dangerous, but I think you understand what I'm saying.
Is scandal. The biggest scandal will be the number, for instance, of suicides that are prevalent amongst undergraduates. The fact that one academic was hauled up, in my view, inappropriately for doing what was done is not the biggest scandal. You're inflating
It's
things.
not the biggest tragedy. The suicides are a bigger tragedy, but it was certainly the biggest scandal. Canadian universities don't make international news.
Your background, it's pretty earthy.
Gosh,
but how did
stuff
you
don't
connect
think
that
about,
with your
man.
current political perspective? What you said that you became disillusioned with socialism.
I became disillusioned with ideology.
With ideology in general.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's certainly not something that's changed. I mean, I don't like ideologues.
I don't even know.
Well, first of all,
What, an ideologue? Someone that like thinks about like philosophical things. A person advocating some ideology, especially as an official or the most eminent advocate. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, who likes those? Who likes extremists in anything? That's what I don't get. In today's day and age, everybody is so quick to label you, and whenever they label you, it is either labeled as one extreme or another. People make things so binary nowadays, and it's just not the case. But it is what it is. Anyway, these did not seem like the best of the best. I know that there are a ton more Jordan Peterson videos out there that I need to react to. That couldn't have been the best moments. They were good moments for sure, but were they the best in my mind? So far, I feel like I've seen better just from watching a couple interviews. Drop the Jordan Peterson videos down below that I have to react to, and with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I will see you tomorrow. That's a motherfucking facto. Yeah, I love y'all. Hit that damn subscribe button and tickle your gooch. Peace! God damn.
Don't believe the lies, deceit. I can be more than a rumor. I can see you're dying to leave, and